You ready?
Yeah.
Alright. Did you take all my snacks? Oh. Sit down, let's do this thing. Did you take from my pack of lollipop?
Yeah.
Is it cold?
Yeah.
You're crazy. How many did you take?
2.
Okay. That's fine. What is up, everybody? I don't know why I have so much energy. I'm gonna give y'all the tea because we literally filmed half of this and then turns out it wasn't filming. We love that, we love that, we love that. But we're doing this for you. Welcome to another episode of the podcast. Pending title because I still have yet to actually think of a title. Yes. But it's okay. Basically, introduce yourself. This is my guest for the podcast episode, Simi.
Hello everyone, my name is Simi.
Look at her crunching with those ruffles. Like,
I'm hungry, man.
I know. But
It's been a long day.
listen, the topic of the episode today is growing up African. And I just felt like it was necessary for me to do this just because there's differences. Do you hear that noise? Also, it's St. Patty's weekend. We're filming this on St. Patty's weekend.
They're going crazy outside.
Literally. But we're filming this on St. Patty's weekend, so if you hear yelling outside, just know it's literally the children. Anyways. I'm calling them children like as if we also the adults and that. Anyways, so I thought it was important for me to have a topic where it was just like growing up African, just because for me I was raised abroad and then she wasn't. So she was born in Nigeria, raised in Nigeria for most of her childhood, right? So
I moved there when I was 13.
Exactly. Oh wow, yeah, so you were raised.
Yeah.
You were raised. But yeah, no, and it's just interesting because even though there are some like similarities, there's also a lot of like differences in like our upbringings, right? So I just thought it would be nice to like highlight those. So let's just start with the first question. What's the dumbest thing you've ever been called to do as a child? Going over here, yeah, munching. There's not even that many ruffles
Let me
left,
tell you.
like.
So my mom would be sitting on the couch. The remote is right beside her, or right in front of her. She'd be like, she called me all the way to come and get the remote. That's the most irritating thing ever.
Yeah, I feel like that's the most common one though. Like even me too, like bro, the remote won't even be like across. It won't be on the table. Like it'll be right next to her and she'll call me to go and get the remote. Like be so serious. And like her response to it was because, oh, I don't know how to function the TV. It just makes sense. Okay, and you need to learn how to. What if I wasn't around?
My mom would just say, oh, you're a kid in the house. Kids in the house are meant to run errands because you do nothing else but eat and sleep.
Yeah, no. I don't think my mom had a reason. She just wanted us to do the work. Like, she just didn't want to lift her finger when she got home after a busy day, to be honest.
And I understand that.
I understand it, but to what
Imagine
extent,
coming home
bro?
from a 12-hour shift and someone's asking you what are we gonna eat for dinner.
Okay, Bobby.
Hey,
And then also having to cook that food too.
I can't.
It's
oh
crazy.
my god.
Yeah,
I would. Oh my god.
Like, I get it, but then also it's like, I also had a long day as a child. Like, you think I have the
Okay,
mental
but
capacity
like you had a long day of 5 times tables. Like that's not.
Okay, my
that's
brain was
not
working
the
and it was
It's not the
creating
same
things.
amount of stress at all.
But that would have been our stress.
In my perspective, though, that was the biggest stress.
Exactly,
like,
that's what
oh
I'm
my God, I
saying.
have
Like
to
in
learn
our
this.
perspective, it was still type of stress. You can't invalidate the stress for just because I'm young and I don't have that much knowledge. You
I'm
know
not
what I mean?
invalidating. I'm just
But
saying.
I'm just saying.
In the grander scheme of things, you weren't going through all that. It was not. There was nothing to go through.
Okay, I guess that's right. The next question is, what's the worst punishment that you've ever received as a child?
Mine would be like the static squats. So it was just squat and pause.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. I didn't have like that. Mine was like standing in the corner looking at the ceiling. Not looking at the ceiling, but looking at the wall. Or
facing a corner.
got my phone taken away.
Never had my phone taken away.
Yeah, but I think I also got my phone taken away because I had my phone when I was young. I had it so early that my mom felt the need to take it.
Like I had a phone when I was like younger, so my mom could reach us because like
Same.
we would stay at, like we didn't have babysitters or anything, so
Yeah,
we
same.
would just
We'd
stay at home. So she wanted to be able to reach us.
Yeah.
But it was, I didn't really count that as a phone because it was just like a Nokia 3310.
Not you remembering the name.
I remember it was a Nokia 3310, and the only thing on the phone was the bounce game or Snake, and that was it. And then
yeah, you couldn't really do anything on the phone too.
Yeah,
but it's just like my mom would take away the phone because there was a point where I got a Huawei,
Huawei.
and then also to like There was games in it too. Like it was just things that I don't know.
I got my first big girl phone when I was 11. I remember I was in GSS2 back then, and it was a summer after GSS2, and it was like, oh my god, a BlackBerry screen. Who's breathing? Nobody. Like, I was on top of the world.
Please, yeah.
Like, I had an email and everything. I was like, ooh.
Ooh, you were feeling the it girl.
I was the it girl.
Ooh,
I was.
Clock it. Anyways, yeah, no, I didn't really get that many punishments, but my mom only started implementing the phone taken away because, you know, my little siblings had that punishment. So I felt like my mom kind of did it as an equal grounding, whereas like, why would I, you know, beat my children? Oh, my mom will always do the
smack behind the hand thing.
Yeah,
we would have like ruler on your knuckles.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. But I heard that too, like in Nigeria, they used to beat you in school too.
Yeah, in school too.
That's crazy, bro. Bro, if it were me, bro, I don't think I could survive that.
Listen,
I don't think.
You listen.
Mm-mm.
It was
the
the
stuff that you
norm.
be telling me about like life in Nigeria, bro. Oh.
It was the norm back then, so like.
Yeah. It was regular.
Yeah. So like you just don't do too much.
Just do what you're told.
Exactly.
Just do what you're told. Do what you're supposed
That's
to do.
how I survived. Like I just didn't do too much.
Jeez.
At home and in school, I kept it cute.
Honestly.
But obviously, there were some times where the cane just was, you can't escape it. For example,
Yeah.
because
it's just
flogged
anger.
if you miss like questions on the exams.
Yeah.
Like if you got a third, like let's say like, for example, some reason I got flogged was because like, oh, like I got a question wrong on the exam and I had like what, like a 99. Oh,
Sorry.
like I would get flogged for getting stuff wrong on like tests and stuff.
Oh.
So it was like I couldn't really escape
So
that.
you couldn't even get a wrong
except I was getting like
You couldn't get a wrong
100.
answer.
Exactly.
You had to get a 100.
So why do you,
back to
like that's exactly why?
So no wonder everybody back in the day was saying that. You know how like parents they always say, "Oh, I was first in class today."
Yeah.
You had no choice. You had to be first in
I
class.
believe my dad was first in class. My mom, however, I don't think my mom has ever said she was first in class because I would give her the side eye. Up and
I
down.
believe my mom when she said that she was in first in class though, because she's very very smart. So I'm not surprised. Now where that gene went when it came to me, I don't know.
It's still there, girl. What are you talking about?
Just wait.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, no, that was the thing. But do you believe in like the traditional punishments that we were given back then?
Absolutely not. I would not punish like. I was telling my mom this the other day, like, I would not hit my kids, like, not, like...
I feel like kids deserve punishments, but beating should not be...
Kids deserve punishments?
No. Not, like...
That's a crazy
You
statement.
didn't let me finish my sentence.
Okay.
I said kids deserve punishments, but not beatings.
Mm.
I don't think... Kids need to understand that the stuff that they do have consequences. Because when they go into the real life, there is always going to be consequences for their actions.
I agree with that.
But beatings are not those consequences. Unless you go and we start doing gang activity. Of course, beating is going to be in it. It's going to be a consequence of your activities. You know what I mean?
Like, I've met, like...
But it's not for most people.
I have so many friends that were raised without, like, being, like, punished or anything.
And you felt like they were, like, raised pretty decently. But you know what? I will say, though, when I was younger, I used to believe in some punishments just because some people, they don't have sense. And the only way you can get sense through their head is if you know, do a little bit of pew pew. I still understand where that mentality was coming from with parents, where it's like they felt that this was the only way for them to get the type of result that they wanted.
Yeah.
But with a lot of our parents, when we got beatings, we didn't get a response to why we were getting beaten. They did not tell us why they were doing the things that they did. They didn't tell us why it was bad to do the things that we did. They just wanted us to do what they wanted us to do without actually having to explain the reasoning for why they were doing it. So it became to a point where they're just beating you because they're angry at you.
They just wanted to get a result.
Exactly. And they're masking it as a discipline when it's not a discipline, it's just their anger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's where I'm like, that's where I don't agree with punishment. I do not condone beating. I need to clarify this.
I don't punishments. I don't condone.
Yeah.
I think like there's a lot of with kids like that. There's strategies you can use. With kids that have a trouble, like it's just behavioral problems. Like sometimes it's like they just have ADHD.
Yeah, that's true.
There's always some underlying things with behavioral problem. Maybe it's like the way the home is. Like maybe it's from an abusive family.
Yeah.
So it's like no child
I think it's
ever born like dense or like born like to just not listen. It's just
and
like,
especially because when we learn about it in psychology too, certain children learn things based off of their environment.
They
things,
watch,
right?
like
kids are
parent interaction.
Kids are not supposed to have an innate knowledge in certain things, so you need to teach them it. Like I agree with that. I definitely agree with that.
For example, there's one thing that I've seen like happening in Nigeria a lot was like when like the child is like, maybe they soiled themselves or they pee themselves or they pooped. It's a 3-year-old kid and they're getting a beating.
Yeah.
I'm like, their anal sphincter is not even connected to the nerves yet. Like they genuinely can't control it. Like, why is this kid getting the lights beat out of him for something natural? Like they're 3, they're still supposed to be in Pampers. Like until they're like 5, that's when you start potty training.
Yeah.
So it's just like stuff like that. It's like there's never a good reason to beat up a child.
No, beat up a child, girl. What the hell are you beating up a child for?
There's never a good reason.
No, there's definitely never a good reason. I do not condone anything.
No matter what they could have done, unless they have, like, I've heard of this psychological problem where they're just insanely violent, and like unless they're like a psychopath, but I don't even know whether a kid can be a psychopath. Like, no, you never can tell. But unless in like extraneous situations like that, and even then a beating is not like a beating will not change a psychopath.
I think as a parent you shouldn't just automatically result to like,
it should not be an option at all.
Honestly, because even with beatings itself you can probably cause like more damage than actual good. Because there's always reasons for why kids act the way they do, and your automatic response and not like understanding of how children function is where the problem lies. Violence is not the answer in general. I don't agree with traditional like beatings, but I find that with a lot of African parents, like I mentioned before, the beatings doesn't come from a good place. It might have been initially coming from a good place, but then because they use it as a way to get a response, it doesn't become like a reaction to like a good thing, you know what I mean? I think that's where the issue like stems from, to be honest. Okay, so you know when you get angry at your parents when you're younger, right? Did you ever like imagining running away from home? Or
I imagined getting abducted and then like making like, I imagine like, oh my god, I'm gonna get abducted, and then they'll be so sorry for what they did to me. Like when I just disappear, they will just miss my presence.
Oh my gosh, yeah, no, I used to think of that all the time, bro. But the thing is, I was a type of kid that didn't just think it, I would say it out loud. So my mom
If I said it out loud, I'm getting
No, I wouldn't say that I wanted to run away, but I would just be like, oh, at 16, I'm moving out. Like I had that mentality, especially when you watch YouTube too. Like you're in this fantasy where you feel like you can do things. I'm over here thinking, if I move out at 16, where am I gonna live? How am I gonna get the money? Like I'm over here planning it out in my head. I wouldn't actually plan it out.
My mom
and it never got to the point. It never got to the point where I would have to pack my bags or anything like that. But it was just like they were just getting me so angry, bro. But I feel like I had so much anger as a child though, just because of like the way I grew up and just unresolved issues mentally that led me to having so much like anger and like also resentment against like, you know, my family and like the way I was being treated kind of vibe. But we cool now, so peace up. Like, but yeah, no, I did get to that point where I was like, yo, I need to run away, bro. I remember texting my friends, bro, like I'm like, I'm sick and tired of this family.
My mom would always tell me, like, she'd be like, you have less years to spend with me than you've spent with me. So that would like reset my whole
Your mom would tell you that?
Yeah.
That's crazy, bro.
So it was like, okay, like it's never that serious. That was like her reset button for me when I started acting up.
It wasn't until after I went to sleep and I woke up I was like, okay, it's not that bad or whatever.
I was like, it's really and truly, it's never that serious.
It's never that serious, but I think for me it felt that serious because it was just a buildup of issues that was never addressed. So it was just like, I'm over here dealing with all these things and I have no say in the way that I feel because everything I say is going to be not acknowledged. So that's why I'm angry and that's why I'm having so much resentment and that's why I want to move out. Not because of the fact that you made me angry, but more so is that the anger was never going to be addressed. You know? Yeah, no. The next question is, did you ever encounter weird uncles or aunties growing up? And listen, when I say weird uncles and aunties, I'm not talking about direct uncles and aunties. I'm talking about those uncles and aunties we call uncles and aunties, but really and truly they're not uncles and aunties. They're not blood related.
I definitely had like, I think everyone kind of had that one that was like, that one uncle that held onto your hand a little too long, stared a little too hard.
They're
like,
just weird. Bro.
Yeah, that
weird
just like gave you the
energy.
heebie-jeebies.
And you know what's crazy too? Why is it the uncles that are married to?
Yes! I'm
Clock
like,
it.
I'm carrying your
Clock
child
it.
right now. This is your
Clock
4-year-old in my hand.
Not even carrying your child. You have 3 children right now. Born and raised.
Your wife is pregnant.
One of them is my age. Clock it. And it's weird.
Why are you looking at a 6-year-old's body? There's nothing to see.
No.
I'm just saying.
I agree. But it's just like because they have a sick.
It's sickening.
Not even the situations where it was actually physical. What about those ones where you would have an auntie saying, "Oh, look at my sweet handsome boy. This is my husband."
the baby boys.
Like I'm talking about. There's aunties who are like single.
No, the ones I've seen.
And they have
the ones I've seen is like they do that with like teenage boys. Like,
yes, like
they're like
teenage
16,
boys. When it's
15,
kids, they're just saying it. Oh,
yeah, it's like a term of endearment for like children.
But when you start seeing teenager boys, they'll be like, oh,
you get kind of sussy because they hang out around them a little too much.
Yeah,
and they call them over a little too much. It's like, come and help me do this, come and help me do that, and it's like
your
they're a little too touchy.
Handsome.
Yeah,
this is so handsome.
It's like, do you have a girlfriend? Now they're asking them all these intrusive questions.
Yeah, it's like, what is your business? Yeah, no, it's just weird. Like, you just need to respect yourself and respect your age. Like, I hate to say it, but it's just like, I know sometimes it can be saying, but sometimes they're not thinking when they're saying the things that they're saying. You're probably making, and you know, sometimes you can see the guy and he's looking very uncomfortable. It's always the aunties.
Yeah,
aunties saying stuff like that. They're never touchy, but they're always saying things.
Yeah, that
can just come off very. You need to think about what you're saying before you're saying it out loud. You know what I mean?
Like growing up around my mom, like she did not let like any chance of like any pedo thing like even occur. Like if we're in family gatherings, her eyes are on me. Like I'm not like obviously she lets me socialize, but she's like, where's my daughter? Where's my son? Like she's like clocking it before I get dragged into some corner somewhere. I think it's different for me because growing up my mom never like brought when she had like when there was family functions or like parties and stuff like that, my mom never brought us around. We wouldn't go to those places. So it's like my mom, she didn't actively say, oh, don't do this, don't do that, but you can tell in the actions of like, oh, there's a wedding, there's not a wedding, there's a party today, I'm gonna go to that one, but I'm not bringing my children. Stuff like that. Okay, the next question is, what differences have you noticed growing up as a girl compared to a boy in African culture? Listen, she has an older brother, and I think we relate to this a lot. She has an older brother, and I also have an older brother, but it's so weird because as a person who is the eldest daughter in the house, it feels like you're the oldest sibling, you're the oldest child. Low-key, let me just put this in, like, I was kind of pampered. I would say, like, my parents were educated, so they didn't do too much with the traditional roles were present, but they weren't, like, oh, girls should not go to school type of traditional roles. Oh, yeah. No, like, it wasn't, like, intense because my parents were educated and, like, they knew, like, you know. I think the traditionality of it was roles, like, who's doing this in the house. But it was so weird because even as I ended up doing what my brother did. That is supposed to be doing. Like, when we moved to Canada, I shoveled the snow, cooked, cut the grass, did everything. Like, so it was I grew up doing everything. But like, my brother shouldn't cooked, I cleaned, bro. I built the furniture in our house. Like I was the maintenance person. Tech support. Literally. The washing machine broke, I'm fixing it. Oh, the TV isn't working? Okay, it was me that was doing it. It's everything I ended up doing. Even though they applied those traditional roles, you still ended up doing most of the stuff in the house. And it's weird. And then on top of that, no, but it was just so weird because it's just like, it also implemented this whole idea of like lazy men in a house, bro. Yes, my brother is lazy. So now you're lazy. Like, I think it's different now because like my mom has grown to like be a little bit
bit more different and like not as traditional. But like I think it's just because I'm older now. I low-key don't take, like I will open up my mouth.
Her teeth.
I'll open up my mouth and tell them like this is not, I don't want to do this.
I brought this up to her like now, and she was like, oh, like, you know, like that was not what I intended. But growing up, she would always tell me verbatim, your brother is a man, someone would serve him. You are going to serve someone. That is what she would tell me. Now she stopped telling me that because I was like, why would you say, like,
why would you say something like that? Yeah.
That's so horrible to say to someone. And I feel bad because that was exactly how she was raised. Like she was raised that she would go to work, do all of this, and come home and cook and clean. So it was like, I'm not doing all of, like, I'm not an indentured servant. Like what? Like that's so, like, I'm not living that kind of life. This is also one of the reasons why I hated cooking, because it was like you have to cook because what, like, your husband is gonna eat. Like I've heard people say to me, like, even at the end of all that PhD, you're gonna end up in the kitchen. Hello?
Who's gonna feed your children?
I'm coming back from a 14-hour surgery or 14-hour shift, and I'm supposed to cook? Oh, please.
And after me, I'm clocked after clinical, bro. I'm dead.
I do an 8-hour clinical, and it's nap time.
And it's so weird because when I think about it now, I'm always thinking, I come from a single parent household. My mom was the one that did everything in our house. So it's so weird that even though she was doing everything in the house, she still had that mentality of traditional ways where it's like, you're the woman, you're supposed to be doing this, that, and the third. This is what you do for your, or like, I grew up every single time during lunchtime, like we would all go to school. I was cooking food for my younger siblings and my older brother.
My mom stopped cooking when we moved to Canada. Brother. That's crazy.
Oh yeah, no, my mom.
It was fend for yourself.
It wasn't until I was
skinny.
I think I was in 3rd or 4th grade when my mom started saying, no, you have to cook.
I went to boarding school for like 3 years, so like she didn't really need to like cook like that. But like she just stopped. Like she would cook, of course, but she didn't cook as a responsibility anymore. She just cooked.
She cooked whenever it was
like my breakfast was on me, my lunch was on me. Dinner, maybe if she's feeling a little, she might do a little dinner thing.
But I think also the my mom cooking, I think, was based off of our needs as kids too. We didn't want to eat the same stuff, so it wouldn't make sense for my mom to sit down and make 4 different meals for 4 different children 3 times a day. Like it didn't make sense. But I think also too it was a little bit annoying because as a person who had an older brother, I was taking on the role of the oldest sibling, where it's like, yes, I'm the oldest daughter and I can do this, you know what I mean? But it's just like, this should be a role split up for 2. I hate to say it, but I'm not the oldest, you know. It's like the neglected middle child. Like technically I'm considered the middle child, but I was treated like the oldest because I was the oldest daughter. So it's like, okay, I'm doing all of this. I don't mind doing it for my the thing is though, I was very kind. Like I genuinely did not mind cooking for my younger siblings. My issue relied on the fact that my older brother was lazy. I hate to say it if you're watching this. Like
my brother's lazy too.
You were lazy, and then I had to take care of you like you were
my brother
child.
was
I didn't like that.
Pampered. Like we both were pampered, but the way, I mean, I guess it's also like individual differences. I would say I'm like a type A type of person. Codependency is crazy. I'm like, why can't you do your own thing, man?
No, they're doing now. What is that called? Weaponized incompetence.
Bro, I'm like, do this for me. He's like, he gives me some half-assed answer. I'm like,
it's so weird now, because now it's like, I will say now though, me and my older brother, we have a better relationship.
My dad is the king of weaponized incompetency.
We're not even gonna talk about weaponized incompetence because it irks my soul. And that was also one of the reasons. King. That's how they implemented that lazy behavior, because it was just like they were purposefully,
like he would just come home and sit on the couch.
When they were asked to do something, they would purposefully do it wrong so that they don't have to be asked to do it again. It's annoying, but if I ever did that, my mom would say I'm the stupid one, and she would
make me do it again. Now I gotta get a crash course on it.
Yeah, I know, but like I would say, like the relationship I have with my older brother is completely different now. Like like he's taken on the role as he should now.
Growing up, I did
just like
not.
growing
Me
up,
and my
I
brother were not boys.
Yeah.
I did not like him for anything because first of all, he was always getting in trouble, and then the trouble would always boil over to me. Because why would my mom ever just talk to him when she could talk to all of us as a group? It's a group issue, but he's the one that's acting up.
I feel like we were forced in a role where we feel like we need to be independent, whereas compared to our
I got shipped off to boarding school at 9.
You know what I mean? And then
if I'm not independent, who else would be?
Yeah. And then like the boys in the household were always coddled to the point where they were not independent like they should have been. You know what I mean? And that's literally the difference between living as a girl compared to a boy in an African household. Like, did you ever struggle with having a native name in comparison to an English name?
Oh, child. Till now. Why do you think I go by Simi? My name is 11 letters long.
Oh, yeah.
And then, you know what infuriates me the most? Like, I get, like, I don't mind, like, telling people my name or what it is. But when I introduce, really with I'm trying to say this in the most because I don't know who's gonna see this, but especially with people who are not from like lived experience of what it is to be like marginalized. This happens with white people a lot. When I introduce myself as Simi, hello, my name is Simi. Hello, please call me Simi. You ask me, how do I pronounce my full name? You're not entitled to that.
You're not entitled to knowing what the details of my name is. I'm telling you this is
I'm telling you, call me Simi. You don't need to know what my full name is. If I want you to write down my full name,
fact that they even
I'll tell you write down
the
my
fact that
full
there's
name.
more is crazy.
Yeah.
They've gotten to that point.
What I usually do is like on every single piece of writing, I write down my full name. But when people are calling me, I want them to call me Simi.
Yeah.
So people try to do too much and like, oh, I want to be able to pronounce your name. I'm like, you're not gonna pronounce it with the right intonation.
Yeah.
My name is a prayer. Like, I don't want, like, don't ruin it.
I don't want you to butcher it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think I got to that mindset, but I think I'm more, growing up, I was raised with my English name. My family called me by my English name. I only figured out my native name when I was at the age of like 6. So that was when I was getting into not university, when I was getting into elementary school. Yeah. And so when I found out about this name, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a new name, like I want to know what it feels like. Oh, Ahosa. Yeah, no, it was for the first time that I heard my name being said, and I was like, oh my gosh, wait, I kind of want to be called by that name just because it's like unique or something like that. But in the duration of me knowing that name and going by that name in school, I had to find a definition for myself, only because, like I said, I wasn't born in Nigeria. There's a lot of traditional things I don't know when it comes to Nigerian culture. And it's just like, I wasn't born and raised with the accent. Like, you know what I mean? There's just certain things that was implemented in my life growing up where it was like, my mom she needed to assimilate to the culture that was here. So obviously there were certain things where it was like my mom deemed, well, she doesn't deem it now, but like back then she would be like, oh, why are you talking in that accent? It's ghetto, you know, kind of things like that. Because she was just, it was just because she did it for the better of us. Obviously I see it now, but it's just like I felt disconnected to my culture to a certain extent. So I used the name my native name, and I turned it into something that I could pronounce and that I could be proud to say. I understand the meaning behind it and whatever, but I made it my own. That's what I did. I made the name my own. But even when I made the name my own, people still didn't know how to pronounce the way that the name that was being said. Okay, my name is Ahosa, okay, but there's a G in there. EGHOSA.
I pronounce Wari and Robo names. They always have like some consonant that you don't pronounce. I had a cousin.
Her name was Elohosa.
Oh, Elo.
Yeah, Elohosa. So she had it the same pronunciation, but it's low, and mine was Ehosa, right? But I just like, basically, yeah, so I pronounced it Ahosa, but even with that own pronunciation, people would still not get it. So I'll be like, what is it hard to get? I would tell you 500 times, and you're still pronouncing my name
right
wrong.
Now.
So then it got to a point where I was like, you know what? I have a middle name, which was the name I was raised by, Naomi. So I was like, I have a middle name, call me Naomi. I want to be called, this is my primary name, Naomi. I want you to call me by Naomi. You can't mess that up. People still mess it up, eh?
That's crazy.
People mess up Naomi, they don't even know how to spell it. open up a Bible. It's not that hard. It's genuinely not that hard. It's very straightforward. It uses the correct syllables for the letters that are being pronounced in the English language. There's no difference with it. But I think I got to a point where I don't really care what name I'm being called. You either know me by
mine too. I stopped caring.
I stopped
when
caring,
I tell people
but
my full name and like, did I get it right? I'm like, yeah, you did.
But the difference between me then and between me now is that I don't mind having to correct people, because there's just certain people that genuinely do not know how to pronounce certain things. They don't have the tongue.
Tasking. Like,
they don't have the tongue.
Whatever.
They don't have the tongue for it, but back then I used to be angry at the idea that people would just not understand it, just because I'm also the type of person whereas if somebody tells me their name, I want to pronounce it the way that they want me to pronounce it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't care if it's gonna be 500 difficulties levels in language. I don't care if you came from Narnia, okay? If they pronounce it a certain way, I want to pronounce it with the exact same accent that they're pronouncing.
I'm like that too.
That's the type of person. But obviously there aren't people out there like that.
Like, so I just want to pronounce it exactly the way you want to be called. Like, just let me know and I'll do it.
But yeah, no, I think that was my whole like difficulty with like native name and English name. But like now I don't really care. I still introduce myself as Naomi now, but there are people in this world that I've introduced myself as a hosta, so I don't mind them calling me a hosta because they know how to pronounce it. They know how to, they know how to navigate. Did you ever feel like mental health was stigmatized growing up?
Oh yeah, so a lot. Yes.
You know what's crazy though?
What?
I had a very different experience because my mom is a social worker, so she understood what it was. But let me tell you the difference between my mom's understanding of it and her implementation in her kids. Okay. Ooh. Now she understands it and she understands that anybody can have it, but back then, because my mom is still very religious, but she had this mindset: you are protected by the blood of Jesus, so there is no way that you can have. I did not bring you to this earth for you to have this type of
in my family
disease.
It was like they just wouldn't talk about it.
Yeah, they didn't talk about it.
No acknowledgement. I'm pretty sure one of my uncles is on the spectrum. And like they just act like he's fine. I'm like, why is this uncle like? It was so odd because growing up, I knew there was something there. I knew something wasn't like
clicking.
Yeah, like
it wasn't making any sense.
It wasn't like I was like, is this uncle just like it just didn't make sense. I didn't know what autism was like. I didn't know what a spectrum like. I didn't know all of that. So I was just like, this uncle, like he's verbal and everything, like, and he's okay, but being a child and like seeing all other people are acting and talking and whatever, I'm like, something is afoot. Like I can't really put my fingers on it, but I don't know. And the way that the dynamic around him also was different than the rest of the brothers, and he's my mom's brother. My mom has like 11 siblings. There's 12 of them. So the dynamic around him was different. I have another brother that, like, another uncle that also has another type of disability. I don't know whether he's blind or deaf, or I think he's deaf. And the dynamic around them was always different. Like, they were kind of like, they didn't talk about it, but they were kind of coddled. Like it was like, oh, like, like Sunday is just like, his name was Sunday.
But why are African names always the day of the month, the day of the week? Anyway, sorry, continue.
But I knew something was off, and the way like the dynamic was different. Like they were coddled, like they weren't really like they either lived with another relative. Nobody was allowed to like point out the obvious elephant in the room.
Yeah, it's so weird because like you grow up, you have to figure it out yourself.
It was definitely, it was stigmatized because I remember if there were people with like issues, like for example like issues with like suctioning and like their saliva and like whatever, there was a word that people would call them, like people like that, like because I've seen like people with like like Bell's palsy, for example, or like cerebral palsy, conditions that cause some deformity or the other. And the stigma was crazy. Like they call them like different sort of names.
But you know what? I find that it's not only mental health; it's health overall.
If you have some sort of disability, like you were treated differently.
If you know,
which is not right.
It's so weird because I didn't get treated differently for it, but actually, kind of. But it's just like. So growing up, I was coddled in that certain sense where my mom didn't allow me to do physical activities, which is something I'm supposed to be doing regardless of the fact that I have a sickle cell. You know what I'm saying? Or like extraneous type of activity. She wasn't fond of that, okay? But it was just like, I thought I was the only person in my whole family that had it. It wasn't until I found out what sickle cell was that I realized my mom is carrying a trait. My dad is carrying a trait. That's how I even have it. Why is the topic of health just not discussed at all?
If you're not healthy on 100%, you got treated differently.
It's weird.
Like you lost a limb somewhere, like you got treated differently.
It's weird.
And it's worse because Nigeria does not have any accessibility. Like,
really?
They don't have any accessibility laws or policies or anything that you can't treat disabled people this way, or like laws that are like, oh, you must have ramps. It's staircases everywhere. Some buildings don't have elevators. So it was definitely like 100 times harder if you had some disability of some kind. Like ordinarily, like in Nigeria, there's a saying like the nail that sticks out gets hit. Like if you stick out in any type of way, you're getting attention for that. Like your skin is too dark, you're getting attention for that.
Oh, something is off about colorism in Nigeria.
Something is off somewhere, you're getting called for that. Like maybe like you're getting attention for that, and it's never positive attention. So with like mental health, it's even worse because like people stay away from you. Like even like there's no support, there's no resources, there's nothing. Like you feel like you're on an island on your own. Like if you're talking about, oh, like I'm depressed or whatnot, it's like what's there to be depressed about?
What are you depressed about? You have this, you have that, you have that.
Mental health is not treated like a thing.
But let me tell you something though, especially with a lot of these mental stuff, I agree. As a person who's Christian, when I tell people this is how I deal with my certain things, my response is God. I'm not gonna sit here and say that that's not my response. But my issue is with a lot of these parents, they'll say God is the reason why, but they won't explain. It'll come off as they're dismissing your issues rather than addressing them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I say like God has his own role, because I also like God is my anchor as well. But there's some supports that you just need. Like for example, I was having a really bad time last semester and still kind of having a really bad time.
But it talks about it in
But I had access to therapy.
But it's crazy though, because it even talks about it in the Bible too. You cannot pray for something and then expect me to do all the work when you should be doing the work too.
You need to do the work as well.
You know what I'm saying? When it comes to mental health or any type of health related situation, they just dismiss it.
The role of the church as well, because I've seen some churches where under the guise of deliverance, the person with the problem is getting flogged under the rain.
What do you mean by that?
There are some doctrines, some denominations that are like that. It's like, oh, like you have like, oh, like I'm depressed, like let's take you for deliverance to deliver the demons in you.
You don't believe in that? You don't believe in that?
I'm saying that's not the right approach. There's a place of prayer. Oh, like God, like help me out with this, help me out with the situation. But flogging someone under the rain to cast out demons?
Flogging?
Did you hear what I said? There's some doctrines that do that in some churches in Nigeria.
Oh, wow.
So it's like sometimes like it gets like exploited, like the role of the church.
Oh, if you're not Nigerian, you don't know what flogging is. It means like you're getting beat for the thing that
to
you're
cast
doing.
out demons with a broom or something.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I'm like, that's crazy, because we had one of those type of churches in our estate back then, and it was just like, why did you tie him to a tree? Like, so like it's not giving Christ. It doesn't give Christ. It was just
okay.
Like,
wait, no, sorry. This
I
is
don't
not
know
funny.
what you guys are doing. Like I was just confused.
Yeah.
So, but I never really passed judgment.
But those are
like,
people.
that's not my
those
place
are people
to do so.
who don't know.
They
Christ.
don't know. Yeah.
They don't know Christ.
They just
they
do their own
Jesus.
thing. I just wish that Nigeria had more, like, took mental health more seriously.
Yeah. I agree. In my family, it's addressed more seriously rather than, oh, there's an answer to it, or
my mom is seeing like,
how could you have it?
I told my mom I started therapy, and she's seen like how mental health can affect physical health. My dad, on the other hand, I don't know what, like he's strong in his ways. My dad is a traditionalist to the core.
Jeez. This goes on to the next question though. How were emotions other than happiness perceived when you were growing up in your household? Oof. Listen.
First of all, you cannot
sad. Not be happy. You cannot not to be happy. You always had to be happy.
You know what the funny thing is?
And if you didn't
let's say you just got beat and you're crying and sad. Yeah, my mom would be like, "Oh, you better stop those tears unless I give you something to cry about." Or it's like, or they're like at school. I've had this happen at school. It's like I think I got beat for something. Like maybe I got like a question wrong on a test or something. And then the teacher will tell me to tell him thank you when he's done and smile back to my seat.
After
tears running down my eyes. That's psychopath behavior.
Yeah, that is psychotic low-key.
So it's like you just did that to me.
Yeah.
But now you want to also control my reaction to what you just did to me. Like,
it's weird, bro. I'm telling you, they do it so that they get what they want. Like, cause I don't even know. Like, literally, you just have to be happy. Like, if you were sad, they will say, "Why are you sad?"
Emotions are dismissed.
They're dismissed to the maximum, bro. Like, they'll be like, "Oh, why are you sad? You have this, you have that, you have that."
Mm-hmm.
Always excusing your sadness for the things that you have, so you shouldn't feel this certain way. It was so weird, bro. What do you think about the expectation of suddenly forming relationships as you get older? Ooh. No, let me tell you a story.
Like relationship, like romantic
relationships. Listen, before you say what you're about to say, I have a story for you. I have a story for you. A couple of days ago, this is T actually. A particular somebody, basically told me, and it was an older person, obviously. They told me, "Oh, you're almost finishing school, right? Where's your boyfriend?" You, at your grown age, past the age of 60, you're worried about a 20-year-old's relationship. I just find it ridiculous, and it also puts a lot of pressure on somebody like me, because it's like, I already have that thought in my head where it's like, oh, I'm almost finished uni, like, oh, I'm about to start my career, you know, when is my life gonna start for real?
I don't
when
have
am I gonna
marriage
start?
in my 5 or 10 year plan.
But it's not even that. As a person who's already thinking about it, why do you feel the need to put input into my life when my life is going at the structure it is at? When we talk about this economy, I hate to say it, but all the men that are out here, I don't want.
Everybody's broke.
Not only are they broke, but they have no sense. Hookup culture is crazy.
Yeah.
It's like, I have values as a person where it's like, I'm not going to settle for anybody that just comes around just because you want me to be in a relationship and
like,
be.
I may have a lot to say about my upbringing, but my parents, I'm their number one. They love me at home. So like, no, there's no way I'm just gonna give up like myself or like just for the fact of having a partner.
Yeah,
That's
it's weird. It's weird.
That's
it's weird.
Not happening.
Especially, and it's just like, it's so weird because growing up, I'll say this, boys were not talked about. Relationship was something that you were not supposed to have because you were supposed to be focused on your education.
Exactly.
Stuff like that. And then later, oh, I go into uni.
It's like 24.
Oh, do you have any crushes? Do you have any questions?
I asked my mother.
Where's your man?
Listen,
do you like anybody? Ooh.
Listen, my dad was driving me to the train station and then he started talking about husbands. I was like, this man, you've never asked me how is school, how's your life. All he asked me is, do you need money? Or like, when are you coming home? Yada yada. That's all. And now he's talking to me about men, about relationships. He's like, oh, like, you know, like when you're picking a man, you have to like, you know, like all this like macho man nonsense. I was like, this is not what I'm here for. Just drive me to the station, bro.
Yeah.
And then my mom, I asked her, this is a good opportunity. This was a good lead in for her. Like, if I were her, this would have been a good opportunity for us to grow closer and for us to actually have some more insight into my life. I asked her, oh, like, when do you think it's a good time for me to start thinking about boys? She blew up. She was not having it. She called the pastor. Like, the pastor came and talked. I was 18, like December of 2023.
Okay.
The pastor was also kind of confused. The pastor was like, this is a good question. You should be happy she came to you about it. So I was just like, yeah, I'm just scared that maybe she's like, so that she's not like, maybe she hasn't been. I'm like, I'm not doing anything. I came to ask you what age do you think is good to have a boyfriend? Like, what did I do so wrong? So after that, I just deaded everything. And then she gave me a book called Marimatics. Mother,
I think the parents, it's so weird because it's just like, growing up, my mom would associate any interaction with a man to be romantic. Okay?
Yeah, mine too.
This distorted the way I thought about friendships in general.
And I understand, because men are dangerous. She thinks all men are out to get me. Because
like, even now, like, I find that even over some years or whatever, I've learned to know what the difference is, but I still struggle with identifying the difference between a platonic relationship and a romantic relationship with a guy. It's like, I can't even differentiate that. And you're asking me to be in a relationship.
I feel like coming to Canada has really like helped me with that though. Like, I have such great platonic male friendships. Like, it's amazing, but the problem is I can't even tell. Like, I tell my mom about like stuff on a need to know basis, so like she knows about some of them, but I just like the way I present it to her, I make it seem like it's just like, oh, an acquaintance thing, or like we're hanging out in a group setting. Meanwhile, we were like, it was two of us having a conversation in my room. But those were like my really good male friends, but I can't tell her that because she's gonna be like, why are you hanging out with a guy alone? I'm like, that's my homeboy right there. That's my homie. Like, I promise you, that is a homeboy. So she doesn't understand the fact that she doesn't believe men and women can be just friends.
My mom, she has this fantasy in her head, okay? She's a very friends to lovers trope type of woman, my mom. So I think that's also one of the reasons why I can't differentiate it, because as a person who wants to have those separate relationships and friendships, my mom has instilled in me, if you're gonna be with a guy, it's better for you to be a friend first because you understand who they are. I completely agree with that, but it's just like,
the only reason why I'll do that is like, I'm going to go into the friendship with the like knowing that this is I want this person. I'm not doing all of that, low-key. Like, I'm a homebody, so
I'm a homebody.
I'm gonna be 28 and she's still good.
But it's just like, it's weird. What are you you're expecting me to say? You're saying, where's my man? But it's just like, you've never had those conversations with me.
We've never talked about it. Like, and the one time I tried to talk about it with you, it's like, crashed out.
What do you think about dating? You don't even tell me that. You know, people don't just get into relationships and drop off the hat. You know what I mean?
When we're talking about like dating and stuff, it always leads to, she never tells me anything concrete. She's always like praying about it, and like, I'm like, Mom, how do I talk to a man? Like, what am I to do when a man is doing this? Like, give me actionable steps. Like, it's like, she's always like, yeah, you know, like, pray, like, when you're in a relationship, like, God is gonna. I'm like, I know,
but that's when I'm in a relationship. What about the prior to?
Yeah, I'm like, you're not helping. But
yeah, it's definitely weird. Like,
I don't care because I'm not looking for a relationship. Like, I am, but
but people who aren't your parents shouldn't be worried about whether or not you're in a relationship. One, because I have that.
I'm waiting for the day an aunt or an uncle is gonna ask me, "Where's your man?"
Bro,
everything I've taught about them is gonna come out.
I got into university. First day I stepped into university, I've had people who weren't my parents asking me where my boyfriend is. And it's like, they also do this thing where they're comparing. A lot of my cousins, they've already been in relationships or they're currently in a relationship. In my household, we don't talk about relationships.
I don't do relationships.
In my household, we don't talk about romantic relationships. We
only
We're not talk about academics.
You're talking about boyfriends.
Yes. So it's like, in my household, we only talk about academics. And my mom, yes, an occasional, she will be like, oh, do you find anybody cute? She'll try and do that. But it's just like, I'm not the type of person to engage in that type of conversation because it feels abrupt and we never.
Yeah. That's not our vibe.
Like, I would tell my mom who I'm attracted to. My mom, she thinks I'm gonna marry a Korean man. I don't know why she thinks that. I don't know why she thinks that. And then when I started getting into K-pop, she's like, oh my god. She was getting all excited and stuff, and I was like, girl, be so serious. Crazy. Because my mom, she loves like interracial. I
had a conversation with I didn't remember I tell you what I had a conversation with my mom about the possibility of me not marrying a Nigerian man or an African man, and
my mom doesn't care about
like she kind of came around after 3 hours. But that's one thing that I can like differentiate with my mom and other Africans. Like, my mom, she's very open to the idea of like, my grandma is averse, like she's absolutely not, it has to be a Nigerian Euro.
My mom is the type of person where it's like, love is love. She doesn't care if it's interracial, all this other stuff, right?
My mom doesn't believe in love is love. She's like, there are other things around a marriage that will ruin that love. Like, let's say you marry from a culture that's like, they're doing stuff that's like really harmful or really archaic, or like women are treated really badly.
That's different. Why would you want to do that? That's different though. But why would you marry somebody who doesn't follow the same morals like as you? A
blanket. It's like a blanket on everybody that's not Nigerian. The culture they must be oppressing women in the culture. Listen, when we get to that bridge, we will cross it. I just want you to be open to the idea of me marrying a non-Nigerian, non-African, like. It's not gonna be white though. I know that for sure. But.
I think I used to have that mentality where I was like, oh, it's not gonna be a white person, but
no,
I think
I listen.
I know.
Would have to be some like.
I know the.
You would have to be Jesus.
I think mean,
and I feel like God is a funny guy. Like, he has a sense of humor.
Yeah.
He's gonna make me eat this word. So you know what? Let me not say anything.
I think because of, I find that I have more traditional values when it comes to like relationships and marriage compared to my mom.
Growing up,
Only
I've become more traditional too.
Yeah, and I find that only because I've seen, like, for example, my mom, she got involved with the person she got involved with because of love. Whereas like me, it's like love will not feed me. Yeah. Like, I hate to say it, but it's just like,
that's your cross to carry, man. You love me, okay, so what?
Okay, my mom loves me.
Jesus loves me.
Yes.
Like,
Jesus loves me, my siblings love me, my friends love me. So
like, that's what I'm saying. Like, when you're loved at home and I feel like people have not been single for long enough.
Yeah.
When you know yourself and you know who you are and you're comfortable in being alone and being with yourself, listen.
You won't take anything from
love. Don't mean a thing. And I'm telling you that for free. It don't mean a thing.
Do you need to
I feel so strongly about this because like I've seen like
you need to unpack
so
the traumas like some love means nothing. Guys, don't listen to what she's saying, okay? I think that love plays a huge role into the relationship.
I think it does too, but it should not be your...
Sit down. She's getting really agitated right now.
It should not be the main motivator. Like, there's so many things to think about.
It plays a huge role though. Like, you can't just not marry because of the
love love can change though.
But and also, I agree with that, but then also it's just like you're in the mindset of I'm gonna marry a rich man even though he's that.
I don't want to marry a rich man.
No, listen. It's giving. Let me tell you. I'm not telling you this is what you're gonna do, but this is what your ideals are giving. It's giving. I'm gonna marry a rich man because this is what's gonna give me security. But
no, you're getting it all wrong. I think there are many more other things that go into marriage than just love.
Bro, we're not talking
and
about
I'm not
marriage,
talking about
though.
just money.
We're talking about just relationships in general.
Yeah, but same thing. A marriage is a relationship.
Okay, but like
for example,
marriage though. You're excluding it to marriage.
Okay, maybe I'm in marriage mode right now. Okay, like come snatch me up. I'm just kidding.
I agree. But 100% I agree with you to a certain extent. Love shouldn't be the only factor playing into whether you want to be with a person forever, because there's just other things that are just bound
way too many
other things that are just bound to, can break your love for somebody or whatever. But I think that, why are we even talking about love? We're talking about relationships. Like, how did we get to this point?
I don't know, girl.
Anyways, yeah, no, but like, I don't think you should take it to her extreme viewpoint.
I'm not even being extreme. I'm just being rational.
No, I agree with it.
Love
but I think
no go give you food chop. You understand that, right?
No, I understand that.
Love won't fulfill you emotionally. I mean, it might, but
now you're just chatting shit.
Now I'm just contradicting myself. You get what I mean.
I get what you mean.
What was the question again? Let's
the question wasn't even about love.
Open it and read it
listen,
out.
I'm gonna say this while you're saying this, because you said that love won't give you all these things, and I understand where it's coming from, but my question is, what is going to give you all those things? How are you gonna identify? Because listen. Wait. Before you mention your statement, it's because when you're thinking about the type of relationship that you're trying to be with, right? Love, it's the center of what's keeping you guys together. And then there are also other factors, but you're not gonna love somebody who has certain types of issues, you know what I mean? You're not gonna
but
love
the thing is, sometimes you don't know about that until you're in the relationship,
and that is why people
there has to be other things that keep you going, like, because love spoils in the blink of an eye.
This is a very sadistic way of thinking.
Sadistic? I'm telling you, I've seen it with my two eyes.
I can see with my I've seen it with my own eyes, but I think that's a very sadistic way of thinking when it comes to relationships, because when you think about that, I'm not saying that love should be the only driving force.
That's what I'm saying too. I'm not saying that it should be the only driving force.
But what I'm saying is, if you really truly love somebody, period, you're going to consider other factors, and you're talking about it's not going to be the only driving force. You're going to reach a point where you guys are going to reach a conflict.
You need to be able to coexist with them.
Listen, love is going to be the thing that helps you.
But what if
coexist with that person.
The love is gone.
Love is not a feeling.
That's agape love.
No,
baby.
I understand.
And only God can give us that type of love.
Listen. Let me tell you something.
You tap me like my dad.
Sorry.
I'm getting PTSD.
Okay, I'm sorry. But let me tell you something. This is what I genuinely believe. Love is not a feeling. Love is a commitment. Okay? That is why I say what you're saying does not make sense when you're thinking in the concept of love as a feeling. Because, for example, I love God. There are certain times where I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing as a person who loves God. Do you get what I'm saying? But your commitment to get up and have discipline to basically show your love for somebody is what's going to keep it together. So love does not come from the idea
that's
it's
not
a
just
feeling.
love. Then there's like dedication, loyalty.
Yes, love is not just not just a feeling that you're gonna have. Yes,
that's what I'm talking about. But I'm just talking about love as a feeling, and then there's other things that are going into like
so
dedication, loyalty, like them being like.
If you're talking about love and its definition, I agree with you on the fact that love is not the driving force for all relationships.
It's important ingredient, but should not be.
But I'm saying that if you're viewing love as a thing that is a feeling rather than something that is a commitment and something that you're willing to strive toward, then it doesn't apply to the situation. You get what I'm saying? That's why I'm saying what I'm saying. Why I was disagreeing with you at first, but now that I see where you're coming from, I don't disagree anymore. Wow, that was something.
My school in Nigeria, you got beat for speaking vernacular. You were not allowed to speak in Yoruba. Yeah.
Oh wow. You know what's so crazy?
But coming to Canada, I like to blow my Yoruba.
I love it when you guys speak in.
Please, I switched to pidgin, switched to everything.
It wasn't until I came to university where I started like being more vocal about it. Just because I told you when I'm growing up, my mom wasn't encouraging like speaking in my language. My mom didn't teach me my native language. You know what I mean? I don't know my native language. And then also along with that is she didn't also encourage pidgin English because it just came off as ghetto and like she wanted us to assimilate to the environment that we were in. So it was just like for us to speak in a particular accent or whatever, people would, and you know how it is in Canadian culture, when people are ignorant, they just think that you speak a certain way, you're dumb. You know what I mean? That's what happens with a lot of, for example, like Southeast Asians, a lot of them still are entrenched within their roots of their culture.
Yeah, that's one thing I admire. They don't let it go at all.
I love it. I literally love it. And it's just like, where it's like, a lot of us, we come into this country, whatever, and we try to assimilate because we're trying to be accepted. And I understand that. But then also it's like, as a person who grew up trying to assimilate, I felt very disconnected to my own culture because of that. You get what I'm saying?
We need to take you to Nigeria, 30 December.
Hey, God forbid, don't send me there. No. Listen, if I'm gonna go,
you're coming with us, so you're coming with people you know.
Okay, as long as I feel safe and that you guys will protect me, because I've been hearing all these crazy things from Nigeria and I get scared now.
No! Okay, now you're acting like a white person. Because I promise you it's not that people, over 200 million people live there. I promise you
I'm just
it's
joking,
not that
but it's just like, it's because it's so foreign to me.
It's a different environment for sure.
It's so foreign to me because I didn't grow up there.
Yeah, that's true. I think with the language thing, there's all in Nigeria.
Also too, all of my Nigerian friends, they're all Yoruba. They're not my people. Can I find some Edo friends, please? Ishan, please. I'm joking. Not Ishan people. Ishan people are crazy. I'm joking.
Actually, Edo people are the closest to Yorubas. So what are you even talking about?
Girl, I wouldn't know.
You're from the same genealogy, kind of.
I would not know.
Well, I'm telling you now for free.
Okay. But
names are similar too. With the language thing, there's a classism type of thing in Nigeria where like the more polished your English is, or the more like English you can blow, the more grammar you can speak, like that gives you some sort of like class kind of. So it was like people that only spoke like Yoruba, for example, were deemed like lower class.
The thing is, like growing up, I remember my mom was like, oh, you want to learn it, but you have to learn it our way because our family speaks a specific way.
I think you should start with pidgin.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing more often. That's why I like hanging around with you guys more, because then I get to, the thing is, I understand pidgin, but it doesn't
hard to like, it's hard to like, once you get the grammar structure, my mom hates pidgin, so like I did not learn pidgin growing up. I learned pidgin in Canada.
Why does your mom hate it?
Cause it's Raz.
Yeah,
that's what she thinks.
Yeah.
She thinks it's like
that's what
it's
my mom
classless.
Thinks too. Yeah.
But she spoke Yoruba around me because that was like my original dialect. Because I'm from Ondo State. My original dialect, my dad didn't teach me. And he didn't teach me because he didn't want me listening to like his conversations or whatever. And I'm like, What a villainous thing to do to your child.
I know, not teach them because they don't want you to hear what they're saying.
Just move away.
He's hiding something. He has to be hiding information. I remember all the time growing up and being like, teach me. And for one day, she'll say, this is how you say good morning. And she will get pissed off if I didn't remember it the next day. How, if you're not speaking to me consistently in a specific language and you're not showing me this is what it means, how am I supposed to remember off of that one time that you told me what it means?
I lived with my grandmother for a bit as a child, and she only spoke Yoruba. She did not speak a lick of English because she wasn't allowed to go to school. So it was like, to communicate, I had to learn it.
Yeah.
But I was a child, and language learning kind of comes faster as a child. So.
Because my cousin at the time, we used to like live very close by, so but they ended up moving to UK, but she moved to UK a lot, like when she was a lot older, so it was, she still retained the language, right? And I remember having a conversation with her. She's like, oh my gosh, how can you lose the language? Oh, how can you lose the language? You knew it when you were young. How can da-da-da-da-da-da? There's a whole lot of issues that went with that whole situation. And obviously my mom now, she kind of regrets the idea that I don't know that language, because like I could have at least known to. All I'm around is English speaking people, and then the one time that I am with my Nigerian people, my mom, whenever she speaks, she doesn't speak around us. Oh. And then if she speaks pidgin, I can hear it because she's talking to everybody, whatever. But I hate it when I would go to functions and my family would be like, oh, does your kid know Edo? Does your kid know
my dad's family, like when we go back to the town, they're like, oh, they're speaking in Ondo, they speak to me in Ondo. I'm blinking like a I don't know.
And the times that I understand what you're saying, I'm using context clues. You guys don't understand. I don't know a word.
And then I reply in English and they laugh at me and I'm like, oh my god, 1 o'clock.
I know. We're done actually. That's all. Guys.
Well, thank you for listening to that rant.
Oh, period.
It was a lot.
Literally. Anyways, that's the end of it. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe.
Bada bing, bada boom.
And I'll see you in the next one.